Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of Hobby Banter. I'm gonna continue working on the Trigon. Put this to the side. Not needing that right now. I just tried my new little tripod out, and this model is just too big to fit underneath it. So maybe next time I should paint a bit of a smaller model that actually fits. I'm gonna be mixing up my paint. I'll actually show you the tripod because that's it. This is it. It's really small, and it can stand right here, and then I can paint the model like here, and he can film it. The camera can film it, and I can still see everything. So might also be an option or a way to do some live streams later on, but I'm not sure. I need to figure out how I'll set that up. Well, before I go any further, this isn't going to be a painting tutorial or anything like that if you are expecting that. This is just meant to be to keep you a little bit of company whilst painting, and to hopefully, whilst doing that, motivate you a little bit to keep you painting and get some stuff done in the next hour roughly. I'm a bit tired, so I'm hoping I can make it through the entire hour. I already painted quite a lot today. I had to work on some commissions, so did that, and now it's a bit of a private and personal hobby time, I suppose. So last time I left off with the thorax, head, the abdomen. I'm gonna now apply the next highlight, which consists of 2 parts bone white and 1 part dead white. I mixed a bit more because big model. When I'm done with that, I might start on the lower body and the 2 lower arms, or I'm gonna paint something else. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. I'm gonna use my size 0 instead of in the previous episodes I used my size 1, and I'm just gonna start with the abdomen. So last week I didn't get a whole lot of stuff done myself because our 4-year-old was pretty sick, and my wife's accountant, so she's really busy in January, having to close the previous booking year. So that always means especially by the end of January, I get a little bit less hobby time and a little bit more responsibilities, because normally during the day I'll do a lot of the taking care of the kids parts, and then once the wife comes home, she'll take over the majority of that. I'll help them get into bed and stuff like that, but in especially January, she makes insanely long days. She has to work very long hours. It's not uncommon that she works then, I think, over 100 hours in a week. Also working in the weekend. So, and then in the last week of January, my stepson is having his birthday, and I myself am having my birthday, which also takes up some time. So therefore, not a whole lot of hobby time has been done over the past week. Now it's February, so now it all should calm down a bit again, and we can get back to the usual schedule. However, I still have to finish a commission before the weekend, but it's looking good. I have to paint Nagash and the 3 Mortarks, but I believe I only need to paint a couple of red parts on Nagash, and then the books and the mounts for the Mortarks are done, and I have how many, 3 or 4 days left, because they need to be done on Sunday. So yeah, I'll make that. That's not going to be a really big issue. But like I said, even though commissions are important, clearly, when you take a commission, it needs to get done. But you also have to, if you ever plan on doing commissions, make sure you get your own hobby time as well, because otherwise it will end up being a job or a chore, and that will take away quite some fun in doing it. Make sure there's a clear hobby part. Oh yeah, I was telling my little girl was sick. She had a pretty high fever for a couple of days. Then it went away, and then it came back, and so we were a bit afraid we would end up in the hospital again. But over the last couple of days, and I'm recording this right before I'm going to upload it, by the way. But over the last couple of days, she is starting to feel better, and tomorrow she will have her going back to school again. Decided to keep her home for a couple more days just to be absolutely sure it's gone and she's all better. Since she already was having a cold, I think like the middle of December or something, so she it was something that was more like bound to happen, that she would be become pretty sick. But then again, I don't feel you should be staying at home if you have a nose cold or something like that. You can just do your thing with that. It's a bit inconvenient, but inconvenient, sorry. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. We in general have the rule here at home that unless you have a fever or you're constantly throwing up, you're not going to stay at home. You'll just do your thing. And maybe it's at a lower pace or you're a little bit less productive. That's all okay. But you'll keep going. Oh yeah, then about this series, it's actually doing better than I expected. Yesterday I was recording some battle reports with Igor, and we checked the numbers a bit. I'm normally not that I'm not that focused on the numbers. I'm doing this because it's fun to do, and to me, in the meantime, the camera became just became an addition to the hobby. And so we were looking at it, but the previous 4 videos all generated quite some minutes, some watch minutes, some view minutes, which is really nice. And it's more than I didn't expect a whole lot from this, but apparently there's a couple of people that enjoy having these type of videos. A little while ago I couldn't imagine that until I started watching them myself, like I mentioned in earlier episodes. And I found that very enjoyable, so I thought, I can just, when I'm painting something, just turn the camera on and talk a bit. It's no science or anything, right? So in the future I would like to improve on the sound quality, because now I'm just using the microphone from the camera itself. And I think there are some gains to get there by getting a better camera first, because this camera won't let me attach a separate microphone. And I do have a microphone arm hanging right here, but that microphone literally has to be nearly in my mouth to be able to talk into it to get some sound. So I'm probably doing something wrong, but I'm not a technician on that area, so I don't know. So in the future I might just have to invest in that. Probably use a part of the YouTube ad revenue for it. I figure, since the little bit of revenue that the channel makes, I'll just put it all back into the channel to improve on quality a bit. Just for fun. It covers a bit of the expenses I make. And by that I don't mean buying models. I'll buy models anyway. So I have to say that the month of January really flew by. It was a really busy month, as always. Like I said, in the family we have a couple of birthdays, and my brother's birthday is also in January. And then we had, it started crappy, clearly, with our youngest kid being in the hospital. It was a bad start of the new year. But in the meantime, it all recovered. Oh yeah, I might turn the camera off a couple of times because I have a pretty bad cough. I should stop smoking, actually. About a year and a half ago I decided I wanted to stop smoking. So when I went to the doctor for it, because I tried a couple of times and I didn't. I couldn't do it on my own. So I got some. There's this type of medication you can take for it. So I took those, but they can make you feel really bad, and I mean in a mental way. So you build the medication up over the course of a week, and then in the second week you're supposed to stop smoking. And that all went well. I mean, I stopped smoking. But it also had a very negative effect on my mental health. Um, I really started feeling bad, and so I rather quickly stopped the medication. But I managed to not smoke, and however, I didn't sleep anymore. Well, I slept for like 2 hours a night, and if you sleep for 2 hours a night after like 6 weeks, and I still didn't smoke after 6 weeks, but my body was so restless, and I slept for 2 hours, woke up, and I couldn't get back to sleep. Well, if you sleep for 2 hours, you can imagine that you're not going to be the most brightest person in the house. So after like 6 weeks, I called the doctor and I said, this isn't going to work in this way. I need something to help me sleep. And the assistant actually instantly then told me, well, you're not going to get anything. So I said, well, then I'll go and grab cigarettes and I'll smoke again, because yeah, this isn't really worth it. And so I then started smoking again, and in like a couple of days I felt so much better. In hindsight, I do think it started the whole depression thing of last year. In case you guys don't know, some of you know because I told this before, it's not a secret. I'm not going to make a secret out of it. I am prone to depressions, so I get them quite quickly. Or quite quickly. They show up every once in a while. And what last year was a pretty rough year, but it was the first one in, I think, 6 years. So I had been, yeah, let's say, clean of them for quite a while. But a lot happened with the children and my wife getting sick. So I think when it all calmed down a bit, it struck once again. So the thing with depression is, as long as you're busy, they won't become that. At least in my case, and I can't talk for everybody clearly. As long as I'm really busy, it will not really get a chance to manifest itself. Even though it might be there, lurking somewhere in the shadows. If the agenda is really full and you have a lot of appointments and a busy life, in my case, it doesn't that easily show itself. But the moment I get some rest, I rather quickly start to feel bad. And it has been suicidal bad in the past. So I can get really, 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 really into it, and can get into a really dark mood. But this is like 20 years ago. So this also is on. I'm pretty used to dealing with it. I know what to do. I know how to fight it. Doesn't mean I always do that, because that's the other thing about a depression. It kind of numbs you. You know what to do. You want to do it, but you just don't get to it. Whereas usually you have time enough because you're not able to do. And again, this is my situation. This isn't. I can't tell this over everybody who suffers from depressions. So, and then yeah, you really just don't. And at least I don't feel like doing anything when I'm depressed. Painting helps me. Something to get my mind relaxed. I have to focus a bit on it. It keeps me busy. I'm also not somebody who will go sit on the couch in the evening. I can't stand that. That has nothing to do with being depressed, because I can't stand that when I'm not having any issues at all as well. So that was for the heavy subject of today. Last week I went to the cinema with my stepdaughter. I promised her. Normally I go with my stepson. I told before, my stepson has autism. He doesn't really like doing a whole lot except sit in his room, play with his Xbox, and he likes to go to the cinema. But I promised my stepdaughter I'd take her this time. So she wanted to go to what's the name of the movie? How to Tame a Dragon, I think it was called, part 3 or something. I didn't know that there appears to be an entire television series about that. But my stepson and stepdaughter are of the age that I don't see a lot of television with them anymore. They watch in their own rooms. And so I know everything about Paw Patrol, because the little ones are really a fan of that. I took her, and then when I was buying tickets in the web store, I noticed that there was this new 4XD 3D with moving chairs and wind and water and smoke and all kind of shenanigans. And I figured, you know what, it was more expensive than 3D, but that's obvious. So I figured, you know, I'll just buy those tickets and we'll see what it is. And actually it was really fun. The moving seats, and there's things in there that'll push in your back. Wind, water, you know, just drops of water. In the cinema, it wasn't an option to turn the water off, but I just left it on. It was 3D, obviously, as well. So it was quite a lot of fun, and kind of worth it was worth the money. I would definitely recommend trying it out. It's really a good experience. It's a lot of fun. The only thing was you couldn't take hot drinks inside, but that's kind of obvious if the chair is going to move and you're going to sit there, sip from your coffee or tea, and you're going to spill it all over yourself. Now here in the Netherlands we would say, well, you're just being an idiot for taking that into a moving chair. But there's countries out there where the cinema would face pretty big lawsuits. So you're not allowed to bring that. But yeah, I think you're a complete idiot if you would think yourself, let's take a hot coffee into a moving chair. You're not going to sit in a roller coaster with coffee as well, are you? Now, it's not moving as a roller coaster, don't worry. It's just, it tilts a bit and it goes a bit, forward, backwards, that kind of sideways, and can sit a bit like this. It does give you if it's also, it was 3-dimensional with the flying dragons. When the dragon went down, the chair went up and down, and because it's 3D, it does give the sensation that you're going down. It's not like the same sensation you will have in a roller coaster or something, but then the super light variant of that. So if you get the opportunity to go and watch one of those, I would definitely say go for it, because it's fun. Yeah, so this is done. I'll just start on the tail. I'm going to take another brush. I'm also going to need another palette, because my little dish already is pretty dirty for today. So take the other one. There should be one right here. So then it's back to the trusty size 1 again. And I'll start working on the tail. I should not put my hand on the desk. The tripod where the camera is standing on is standing with 1 foot on the desk. So now it's pure bone white. In case you didn't see the previous episodes, I'm gonna put in some glaze medium to thin it down and to make it from to stop it from drying really fast. Sometimes I use the glaze medium, sometimes I use matte medium. It's just basically the first bottle that I grab. The advantage of this is that it doesn't. You can use water, but I don't really prefer to use water because it can break the pigment in the paint, and then you'll have those little pigment particles floating around. Usually that also means that you use way too much water, but and this stuff doesn't do that, so therefore I like this. And I think one of these pots is like 4 or 5 euros or something, so it's not that expensive. Lasts a pretty long time actually. It's not that I'm using 15 of those pots a year or something, and I think it's 2 or 3, so I'm not really on the amount of paint that I usually use on a yearly basis. It's not a big deal. So, like I said, using my Winsor & Newton size 1, just to get the initial light effect in. I think you can, well, when I'm going along a bit further, you'll see a clearly color difference. If you want to use this color scheme and paint it in this way, but you don't want to spend the amount of time that I spend on it, just skip a couple of these highlights. There will be a difference, but you'll be okay. And these aren't painted at just basic tabletop. Well, I consider this tabletop, but for most people it's not tabletop. This is my tabletop. And I'm actually holding back on the Tyranids because the moment I started this army I knew it was going to be a big army, so I didn't want to spend 6-7 hours on a gaunt. Or in the case of my Adeptus Mechanicus, I do spend around 7 hours on a regular trooper. Which for some people still is like not much. So maybe that's a nice question for you guys. If I would be able to set a thing like this up with live stream, and I mean just through YouTube, not Twitch or something, because I get the feeling that for Twitch I would need a second person to actually moderate everything, and I don't want to do that. And I think with YouTube I could just set up my phone against the wall in front of me and read through the comments from where I'm sitting. Would you like to then just join in on that, or would you say no, just record it and upload it so I can watch it at any time I want? I could clearly always record well, I think in YouTube it's not even needed to record the live stream. It will automatically upload it. Or would you like live painting? Prefer a live painting tutorial more? I have no idea. I also don't know if it's very useful because the largest amount of views is from the United States actually, and there's a pretty big time difference in the United States alone already. But then again, I'm on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, so to be able to do that, I might end up having to paint in the middle of the night, and I don't really think I'm gonna do that. I also don't think my wife will appreciate me doing that. And in case you want to see specific painting tutorials and such, don't hesitate to request them. If I get the chance, I'll try and do that. It might take a bit of time, but I think it's always nice to also have a little bit of a challenge. You know, I like to evolve my skills as well. Even though I have no ambitions in becoming a competition painter or anything like that. I just wanna, paint armies and play games. I enjoy that. So I had to stop the camera for a bit there because bad cough. But it's in the evening right now, and usually in the morning it's far worse. When all the slime piled up, and yeah, well, sometimes I wake up and I feel like Nurgle paid me a visit in the night and left me some presents somewhere. Well, I don't mean that the entire bed is dirty or something, but yeah, the moment I am completely cleared of this last year's depression and feeling bad, I will go for some help to quit smoking again. But I first want to be completely recovered. I still have bad days, and then they need to bugger off first, because those days I know at forehand that I'll not make it through those days without getting into a lot of arguments and fights at home. And I don't want that, because that would be on me, and that can't be the plan. Stop smoking is one thing, but I do feel it shouldn't be at nearly all cost. It's important. I want to. But if it's gonna hurt my family, yeah, I'll probably rather just keep smoking for a little bit and then try it again and again. Someday it should work, right? And now obviously I feel like a complete idiot that I ever started smoking. So if you're not smoking, please don't ever start. So, and again, this doesn't look super nice and neat, but especially this layer, due to the color and the color the model is now, it's just not going to really stick as well. But well, this started out in the same way, and that now looks pretty good. I'll work the entire model up until this layer, and then I'm gonna wash it with a very thin wash, which will tie all the colors better together. And I really like using the Army Painter washes for that, and thin them down using mediums and such. So I'll go over this little part later on again, because that's a bit too dark. But that's where the mold line was still there, and I hadn't noticed that. The same thing goes here, by the way, but this is already dry, so I can touch it up right now. So whenever I start these videos, I'm always thinking, what am I going to talk about? I don't really have anything to talk about. And then I turn the camera on, and it just... I'll start blabbing and rambling and talking. I always have to take care in my other videos that I don't start doing that as well, because I get easily distracted, I guess. Well, not that I can't keep my attention or focus to anything, but when I'm talking, I quite easily drift off into another subject, and then I'll end talking about something completely different than what I set out to actually say. So today I noticed that for the Game of Thrones games, Game of Thrones game, Song of Ice and Fire, it's called. It's also a miniature game, in case you don't know. It's made by Cool Mini or Not. That they, in case you watched the series or read the books, are going to release the giants from the wildlings, and they look pretty awesome. So I might have to pick myself a couple of those up just to have some fun with. I'm really looking forward to season 8. Can't wait till it's April and it starts and I can watch the final season. As far as I understood, HBO is going to make spin-off series as well. So that's a good thing, because I really liked the whole setting and theme of the series. I mean, dragons, come on. Yes. So in case you are watching the battle reports, you and the Q&As, you by now know Igor. And we made the decision that next year we will both start really working on some Age of Sigmar armies as well. I have my Stormcast Eternals, but I'm gonna do some more. I really think that Age of Sigmar is it's a cheaper system to start with, I think, than 40k at the moment, because the models are pretty pricey, point wise. Money wise it's no difference, but point wise they are. again, it does depend on the army you're picking, clearly, but it's and somewhere in the back of my head, I still have probably the Warhammer Fantasy mindset that Warhammer Fantasy starts with at least 200 models or something. So I think that also in the end was the downfall of Warhammer Fantasy. Starting a new army was like, I think for nearly everybody, like an amateur climbing the Mount Everest or something. It's like, yeah, it was nearly undoable. Um, and I think Games Workshop needs to be pretty careful with 40k as well, especially with when they drop points, armies get bigger, and I think especially in the last what's the name? Chapter approved. There have been done a lot of point reductions, but first halfway through the year they reduced the amount of points for tournaments, for so that's for competitive play, organized play. I believe they put it from 2,000 to 1,750 or 1,800. I'm not 100% sure about that, because and I don't really keep track of that. But and then they do all these point reductions on the other units. I don't really get that. They could have just go for a point increase on the more on the hard hitters. Clearly there's a marketing strategy behind it, because making them cheaper makes people buy stuff. Making other stuff more expensive doesn't make people buy stuff. But yeah, I think some armies really got away really good. I played a game of 40k last week. Yeah, last week. And a while ago I played a game with Igor. The Adeptus Mechanicus versus Necrons. And that was around 770 points, 775 points or something like that. And the funny thing was, we now played 500. And I nearly got to field the same army. So that's quite a big point deduction, actually. I noticed when for example, the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex point value, so when the Codex was released, the fully equipped Tech Priest Dominus was more expensive back then than now. A Tech Priest Dominus and a Tech Priest Engineer are fully equipped together. So that's quite a lot of points, actually. Then a lot of weapons got cheaper. So yeah, I don't know. Clearly the really good units didn't get cheaper. Don't believe the Dune Crawler got cheaper. The Castellan robots for sure didn't get cheaper. But they shouldn't be cheaper. But for example, the Arquebus, the sniper rifle from the regular troop choices, the Rangers and the Vanguards, got a 10-point reduction, which is quite a lot of points on your troop choices. I mean, they were 25 points each, and you can, in a unit of 10, you could take 3 of them. So it would be 75 points, and now the same 3 would only be 45 points, that's a pretty big difference, actually. Because for those same 45 points, you can buy yourself an extra Iron Strider. Or, no, you save 30 points. So, I think an Iron Strider is around 40 or 45 now. So you nearly got yourself a free Iron Strider there. Clearly that's going to need a weapon, but that also got cheaper. So I believe that an Iron Strider with a twin las cannon now is around 80 points or something like that. It's not even that expensive for 2 las cannon shots. And it cannot explode, so you could have really nice effects on the table with it. Oh yeah, the small little arms. I hope I can paint the arms in a bit visible way for you. I don't know. Oh, I'm forgetting parts. Like I said, I'm tired. Then that kind of stuff starts to happen. But better notice it now than when you think it's done and then you notice, oh, there's something and there's something and there's something. Yeah, I really can't wait to have this bad boy finished, so he can stand right next to his brother the Moloch. I think for the next episode I'm just gonna paint something else and use the other tripod. Unfortunately, this model just didn't really fit. I could zoom in more, but then I might end up constantly go out of focus and out of the shot. And no, that's not really the meaning of this video, but maybe a couple of you guys do want to see what I'm doing. So therefore it's better that I stay in the shot, even though it's not, I think, super clear to watch at this distance. So, onto the little pieces I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, funny thing this week was the. Now I don't know anything about American football, by the way. Let's put that out first. But there was the final, the Super Bowl, which, even though there's maybe it is somewhere on Dutch television, but I don't know. And in the morning, a thing is obviously that it's in the middle of the night here when stuff like that's happening. So occasionally I watch a game of NBA basketball, because that's sometimes some earlier in the evening. So I do get to watch that, and I really like that, and that's on more regular common television actually. But the NFL Super Bowl, yeah, kind of funny. In the morning news, so there was this whole thing about this item about Super Bowl, and to be honest, I now still don't know who played the final against who. I don't know who won. I do know there was this guy Tom Brady, who appears to be really good, even though he's already pretty old. And I know everything about the halftime show. That it was Maroon 5, and there was a couple of rappers there, and that's what they call news, So they spent so much time talking about the halftime show, because apparently there was some commotion about people not standing up with the national anthem. Well, I do know a bit more about that, but it's quite political, so I'm not going to get into that discussion. Um, before people get offended by anything I say. Um, but I think, if you're gonna spend a news item on a sports final, spend it on the sports final, not on the halftime show of the sports final. I think it would be like the same thing as say something, having a having something about the Oscars and then spend the majority of the item talking about Lego. It basically doesn't have that much to do with each other. Yeah, clearly the halftime show is part of the whole experience, but yeah, I felt like, why am I even watching this? And if you want to spend an item on the controversy around which artist is performing there and which isn't because artists didn't want to perform there, and yeah, make a dedicated item to that, and don't use the sport for it. And I think the same thing is it goes about every time. I'm European, so I'll call it soccer. And then for the Europeans it's football, obviously. For American viewers, soccer. Whenever there's this, it's with nearly every sport event, by the way. So, then it's like in, let's say, Russia, and then like 2 weeks before the event, everybody starts bitching and moaning about human rights. Now, it's not really important what you think about the human rights in Russia and what I think about it, but I then think, really, this has been planned for years, and in the last minutes, these kind of discussions have to get fired up, and then you get all the. I'm sorry, I need to keep the model upside down. And then you get the whole. The national team shouldn't be sent there, and blah blah. Like it's the fault of the football or the soccer players that it's a bad situation in the country, and now they have to take the punishment for it, or what? Couldn't it? In my eyes, it kind of looks like that. Now you can clearly disagree with how human rights are in countries, and I don't always agree with how stuff goes everywhere in the world, clearly. But yeah, the moment that the location for the event is selected, maybe if you want to make it political, which I feel is really wrong. Politics and sports shouldn't be tied together. It's two different things. Yeah, it's just why just, if you're that upset with it, go do something useful about it. I mean, and even though if it all changes during the sports event, the other behavior will be back after it. It's not going to change anything, and especially if it's, you know, if it's steered from up top. They can have you see what you. We all know how it is in certain countries. They'll make sure you don't get to see what they don't want you to see, and you'll see what they do want you to see. That's just how it works, and I think stuff like that will just never change. You can maybe get rid of it in country A, but then the same thing will arise in country B. You know, we're all human. It's in our nature to fight with each other, I guess. But nonetheless, I still think it's pretty stupid. That doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't agree with them. Um, that we should all be able to live a free life and a happy life. But yeah, there's also always arguments in the other direction. You know, if you at least you know what you have. You know what you can expect. Our Western society isn't always as clear and as you know, it all looks really good. But there's, I think, enough stuff that could be improved. But yeah, again, I shouldn't be going into politics, and there's nothing to do on the channel. And I don't want to get into any yes, no discussions. So. Oh yeah, something war game related then. I played Kill Team Arena yesterday with Igor, and it actually is a fun game. Now I want to get Space Hulk. I had it and I sold it. Now I want it back. I already found one, a new one. But I'm just not sure if I'm gonna spend the money on it. I really like the close confined spaces, and yeah, playing in those small hallways and the game is really fast and short. It's only 4 turns, not longer. At least not the missions we played. Maybe there's other missions with random game length in the book, but I don't think so actually. Because it's so focused on competitive play. It's the same as Shadespire actually. Shadespire only lasts 3 turns. You only have 12 total activations in Shadespire. So that actually it makes it really good. If you also, it makes it really hard. One mistake and you're done. So you do need to be pretty. I made a mistake in one of the games in turn 1. I recognized it instantly after the turn, and I wasn't able to catch up anymore. So no matter what I tried, I was one step behind for the other 3 turns, and I don't mind that happening. We talk about it in the battle report as well. I do still have to edit them, but and I'm not going to tell you which one clearly, because that would spoil the battle report in case you want to watch it. But it's a really fun game. We played 3 games, and I don't regret getting it. When I got the set finished this weekend, oh yeah, I painted that up this weekend as well, by the way. At first I thought, I'm not that sure now anymore, but it was fun, so that's a good thing. I'm checking, I'm thinking we're getting close to an hour right now. And I got this layer in, I can just reinforce the color on some spots a bit. But I think I can stop the camera roughly right now. I'll just then finish this layer off a bit off camera. There's not that much left to do. I'll leave this like this. The next time, yeah, I'll take the other tripod and record a video on that and see how that goes and see how you like it. And maybe we can I can then use this series as a little tester for maybe some live streaming in the future. I would need to sort that all out and connect my camera in a way to my computer, because I don't really see me streaming it through my phone. I don't think that would improve on the quality as well. So, nonetheless, I'm going to stop right now. As usual, let me know in the comments what you've been working on. I'd really like to know that, and feel free to send me pictures, or you can send an Instagram link if you have Instagram, and you can just do that in the comments as well. I will, if it gets blocked by the spam blocker, the YouTube spam blocker quite often auto blocks links. I check that like once a week, so when I see it, I will open it up so that people can see your comment, and maybe go check your Instagram out. Also, feel free to send me pictures of your stuff by email. Any questions you can send me as well. The email address in the about section on the channel, and I will always try to answer your emails within a couple of days. Sometimes it might take a bit longer if I'm really busy, but normally it will be pretty fast. And there are quite some people already sending emails with questions and stuff like that, and I'll just then try to answer. And if you have any ideas for tutorials or requests, let me know as well. If you want to see a specific model in this video, this type of video as well, you can also ask that. And if I have it or I'm able to get my hands on one, I will definitely try and do that. So, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you got something done in the last hour. I know I did. Happy with the progress. So, again, thank you for watching. And hopefully, see you next time. Bye bye.